But first of all, Congressman Brad Wenstrup, welcome to the Bill Cunningham Show. And Congressman, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Bill. Good to be with you as always.
I understand you're on the hustings right now, going out to Lawrence County. May I say wherever the heck that is, because you now represent Lawrence County. Where is Lawrence County, by the way?
It's to the east of Cincinnati. It's part of southern Ohio. It's a beautiful area, I got to tell you. But my stops are a little bit further apart than what I've been used to in the past. But it's okay. We had 8 counties before, but now we have 16. And I'm proud to represent this beautiful part of Ohio and America.
2 or 3 big issues are percolating. Number one is the announcement about the $10,000 student loan debt, which the President Biden is hell-bent on making. And secondly is the issue of a text I received from a local former federal assistant prosecutor who said that every time the Washington Post or the New York Times runs a story that is a leak relative to the Trump administration or the raid in Mar-a-Lago, every one of those times is a felony. And I thought it might be good to speak to someone on the Intelligence Committee, which is a special committee of the House, in which the Democrat leaders and Republican leaders both must agree to put you on. You're on. And as I understand it, when you're in the skiff where you're getting all this very, very top secret information about the country, about the nation's defenses, about nuclear codes, or God knows what's going to be, that you can't talk about that. But every time something happens relative to Trump, it's on the front page of the New York Times. It's in the Washington Post, CBS News, breaking. Most recently, it was about whether nuclear codes may be compromised. Somebody leaked that. Now we find out there's 300 special access programs above top secret. Somebody leaked that. Is it true, because you're into this area, and we got to talk about the student loans here in a minute, isn't it true that when you leak classified information to anyone, including the dissemination of that information on the pages of the New York Times, that by itself is a criminal violation that's happened thousands of times and nothing happens? Please explain.
I can't explain why it doesn't happen. And look, you saw the leak from the Supreme Court this past year, and we got to get to the bottom of it. This is unprecedented. This is horrible. I haven't heard anything about an investigation to find who leaked in. And of course, during the whole Russian collusion narrative, which proved to be false, there were leaks all the time, convenient leaks when someone said something that they wanted to hear that was against the president, and then that would be leaked. And again, nothing. And this is very serious. I'm a military guy. Listen, when I served in the war, classified information and secret information and all those types of things, very, very important that you keep them close to the vest, obviously, and not leak. And on the Intelligence Committee, we have access to special access programs. We know what they are. Programs that no one else knows about, not even other members of Congress. So it's very important that you have people that you can trust. And I can remember during the Russian collusion events, we had a CNN reporter, coming up to me all the time. And I said, you want to be an American hero? Why don't you tell America who's leaking? Because what's happening right now is very anti-American, is a great risk to national security. Then we do have the ability to declassify things. So some of the interviews that we had, John Ratcliffe declassified them and put them out, the interviews over the Russian collusion events. And you know what? What we found, America found out through this transparency, is that no one in there said they had any evidence that Donald Trump had colluded with Russia. None. One said they had any evidence. Yet Adam Schiff would come out and say that he did. Look, what I don't understand in this whole situation right now is, when I sit in the Intelligence Committee, we don't leave the committee room without making sure that we don't walk out with any documents that we shouldn't be leaving with. And so why, when a president leaves, do we have a administration or a agency like the National Archives that doesn't go through everything before it leaves the building,
right,
to make sure that they're not taking anything out? And then you see what Hillary Clinton did. She had classified information on her private server, and James Comey said, well, no reasonable prosecutor would do anything on this. And none of that, she destroyed a lot of the evidence that was subpoenaed. So there's hypocrisy there. The distrust coming from Americans is tremendous right now. You go back to Sandy Berger, who was caught bringing documents out underneath his clothes, and he was charged with a misdemeanor. But look, on the Intelligence Committee, we have oversight over national security issues. And so we want to see the affidavit. We should be informed immediately why it was necessary to do the raid, why it was a national security risk. Our country has evolved with these agencies that feel that they have oversight over us. We remind them recently that we are the ones that created their agencies. We are the ones that fund their agencies, and this has got to stop. And the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence has a different role than any other committee in Congress when it comes to these types of things and national security risk. This is our jurisdiction. So we want to know things like, why did it take 9 hours when you went in there? What does the actual affidavit say? Because you should be looking for something specific. Why is it you took out someone's passports? That makes no sense. I know you've returned them. What else are you returning? Was this a broad sweep just to be looking for something, or did you have something specific that you were after? And so historically, we want to make sure that there's not hypocrisy that takes place, but we also very clearly, and this should be bipartisan, want to know what the national security risk was that you went in there for,
right,
to do something that has never happened before to any former president of the United States of America.
So when you make these inquiries, you say, okay, this is the Intelligence Committee. This is different than other things. We're sworn, special oaths are taken not to disclose it. And so when you tell the so-called officials at DOJ and the FBI at the top that leak like a sieve constantly any negative information about Trump and or Republicans, when you say we oversee you, you don't oversee us, we control your budget, are they the fourth branch of government, the most powerful? How do they respond when you say you can't do that? We fund you. We created you. You got to tell us in these classified settings. You have to tell us what is the national security interest that you waited 18 months to enforce. Then the warrant was issued, and several days went by after that. Then they spent 30 hours in Melania Trump's closet looking at her clothes, I imagine. How in the world do they respond when you say, you work for us, you know, not the opposite? What do they say?
Well, it has gotten some attention in recent months. I will tell you that without going into details. You know, I wanted to know with a certain intelligence entity, I wanted to know who they talked to. And when I asked, they said it's our policy not to tell you. So I went through a list of names and asked, did you talk to this person? Did you talk to that person? And every time the person said, it's our policy not to tell you.
Right.
And that's when I went to that diatribe of, no, you don't get to do that. And I will say, to her credit, the director of national intelligence called me after that, and she said, I'd like to get together with you to carry on this conversation. She was not present then, but she heard about it quickly. And I was able to get the information that I wanted. But we're re-emphasizing this. And in the Intelligence Authorization Act, which comes out of the Intelligence Committee, we even have Democrats now that are saying that we're putting things in this saying, if you don't give us this information, then this part of your budget's going to be cut.
Good.
And this is one of the ways we need to do it. But I will also say that we have also made it very clear that if Republicans have the gavels come November, actually into January, then we will be subpoenaing the things that we are asking for. And you don't have a choice in that situation. We will get this information. So why aren't we just working together as professional people that are concerned about the national security of America and share the information that you should be sharing, because we have oversight over you? What the agencies are saying to Congress, and especially the Intelligence Committee, is, oh, we don't have to respond to you. You don't have oversight over us. Now, this is a country of we the people. We're the representatives of the people, and the taxpayers are the taxpayers, and there needs to be transparency. We are entrusted with having information that the agencies have at all levels, at all times when we request it.
And the other thing, when all hell's breaking loose at the end of some administration, and GSA, General Services Administration employees, are stuffing all these papers in boxes that I'm sure the Trumpster never looked at. I mean, the poor guy's never sent an email. He's never sent a text. And so they're putting all this crap in the boxes. Assuming this is the nation's most honored secrets, Why does that happen in the first place? Why doesn't the GSA say, no, wait a minute, we can't, and they're probably not even qualified to look at the documents. And so this is a area ripe with political intrigue. And I love the fact, Congressman Brad Wenstrup, that you called the FBI here in Kenwood. I'm looking at the building behind us, in which you told the rank and file, the real FBI, we're with you 1,000%. But the politicians at the FBI, on the 5th floor of the Hoover building, those small number of politicians like Christopher Wray, who, by the way, was reappointed by Donald Trump, they got to get the message. They have to quit playing political games. Now, we got to talk about student loan debt. But lastly, if Hillary Clinton was just now coming out of federal prison, if you had Strzok and Page also going to federal prison, if you had Hunter Biden indicted 3 years ago for all the crap that he pulled on video, including getting the big guy his 10%, which is Joe Biden, if the same rules applied to everybody equally, equal justice under the law, I'd have a different view about Donald Trump. But I don't have a different view about him because of the other times the politicians who run the FBI in Washington put their thumbs on the scales of justice. Now, I know you got to go in a couple minutes because of your great speech at Lawrence County. But lastly, student loan debt. It appears that Biden is going to cancel up to $10,000 of student loan debt for those making less than $125,000 a year. That's going to give the taxpayer anywhere between $300 billion and $900 billion, the cost of that. And at some point, the lawsuits are going to be filed to stop it. Where does Brad Wenstrup stand on canceling at least $10,000 in student debt to individuals? Give me your reaction.
Yeah, well, as somebody who was about $200,000 in debt at one point in my life, and I worked all the way through school and medical school, I paid off all of my loans, okay? And so obviously it's absurd. But let me ask you as an attorney, this seems to me that there should be a class action lawsuit, because essentially what we are doing is we're asking every American, every blue collar worker in America that never went to college, as a taxpayer, they are now being asked to pay off these loans for people that they never signed on to. It seems to me there should be a class action lawsuit from every taxpayer in America to say, I didn't sign for that loan. I'm not the one that should be paying it back.
It's not forgiving the debt. It's taking the responsibilities of those who are legally liable and put those debts on the shoulders of those who have other debts, and it's transferring the debt. It's not canceling it, because it's transferring the debt from a person like a young Brad Wenstrup, $200,000 that you paid off, and is telling other people, the current Brad Wenstrups in medical school, that we're going to take care of your debt, and that's fundamentally wrong. I know you got to run, but Congress. Give me your last comments on. Go ahead.
I'm just curious about that from a legal standpoint. Why are we paying off somebody else's loan? That should not happen in America.
There's going to be today, tomorrow, Friday. There's going to be a class action lawsuit filed by all kinds of conservative legal groups that say, "Wait a minute, who has the power of the purse in America? Is it the executive branch or is it the Congress?" And the answer is, it's the Congress. And so it's a constitutional issue. It's also a contractual matter, where as a taxpayer, I didn't contract to pay your student loan debts off through my taxes. And what impact that's going to have on inflation when you dump $300 to $900 billion more into the economy of those who don't pay off student loan debt, but then spend the money on other stuff. Brad Wenstrup, lastly, about a minute remaining, what does that do to inflation?
Well, it's going to add to it, just like everything else has with all this additional spending. And keep in mind, paying off student loans, I don't recall Congress appropriating money to pay off people's student loans. That's how it's supposed to work. That's the power of the purse. And I can tell you that come January, if this isn't already taken care of before January, then we're going to have to go and take care of it with every power that is authorized to the United States Congress by the Constitution.
Now, maybe you can defund 87,000 well-armed IRS agents. And if we have all this extra money, give it for school teachers, or give it to Border Patrol, or give it to urban police departments that need the money instead of 87,000 new IRS agents. Congressman, good luck there in Lawrence County.